Do you have to straighten your hair before you color it? What is the best way to go lighter without causing too much damage to your curls? Should you use different technique when coloring curly hair to help add dimension? What is the best way to evaluate if a hairstylist actually colors well?
Amanda?
What?
I'm just gonna remove it. We're not gonna talk
Yeah,
about it.
no way.
It's just wedding stress.
Let me see. Oh, it's so white.
What's good, everybody? Welcome back to the channel with your main girl Mel, professional stylist, curl enthusiast, and Amanda's personal bridal stylist.
We're officially 2 weeks out from the wedding and it's time to refresh my color, so we thought we'd film it and answer all your questions about hair color and just show you what we plan on doing for the wedding day.
Amanda wants to take her color a little bit darker,
Just
a little
a little
closer to her natural. She wants to look rich, luscious, shiny, and of course, it is the fall season, so what better time than to de-blondify with a little reverse balayage. I'm going to share with you guys a technique that we're going to be using that's going to keep things really simple, but we're going to be adding a lot more depth into Amanda's hair while still maintaining just a few pops of her lighter color. But overall, you say it, not me. I'm not speaking for you. What do you want?
Overall, I definitely want to go a little bit darker.
Okay, she said it.
Rich is the word I'm looking for. Like a rich chocolate with caramel inside.
If anyone gets mad at me for taking her darker, just know that this is what she wants.
That's exactly what I want.
She's apparently too blonde, even though this is also what she wanted once upon a time. That's why I asked her a lot if she is sure. But are you sure?
I'm sure.
All right, let's get to it. And I just want to apologize for the sun right now, but also I'm not that sorry. We don't get a lot of sun around here, so we're gonna embrace it while it's here, and you know, it won't be here for that long. So before we get into things, I want to share with you our reference point. We have some hair goals here and some hair that we plan on adding on the wedding day. So Amanda's looking to match these extensions. We have a lighter pair and a darker pair. So to actually start this process, since we are going to be going darker and both of these shades are warmer and more rich, anytime you're going from light to dark, especially if you plan on deepening it and you want that tone to actually last and not look muddy or ashy, or even, you know, you don't want it to wash out weird, especially if you plan on going significantly darker than what you have. We're not going that much darker, but still, anytime you're going quite darker, you need to fill back the missing pigment from the hair. So if we look at the natural remaining pigment in the hair, anytime you're lifting, the hair goes through stages. When it's really dark, it starts off red, and then it goes to red-orange, orange, yellow-orange, and eventually you're left with either pale yellow or that inside of the banana peel yellow, or potentially white if your hair was very lightened. That would be the lightest of blonde. Where we're at in Amanda's hair, her level is about a 7-8, which means she does have some of that orange and yellow tones in her hair that we need to support the color at the darker levels. However, she has some really blonde pieces, and we want to make sure that we're adding some of that richness and depth back into her hair. So what I'm going to do is take Amanda to the sink. I'm going to give her a shampoo, and I'm going to put an all-over color that is a 7 gold, just to add some of that warmth. It's already going to give us the color of the lighter highlights, and that way when I go to put the darker color over top, there's way more pigment in the hair, it's going to have way more depth, and actually give us that lasting power that we want, and the richness and the shine. So that's enough of me and my plan for now. We're going to start getting into things and answering some of your questions. Amanda, what do you have for me?
Number 1. Do you recommend clarifying beforehand?
Absolutely. So I'm going to be taking Amanda to the sink. I'm going to give her a clarifying shampoo to make sure we remove all buildup from her hair so that the color can actually absorb into the hair properly. The only time that this becomes a little bit controversial, or, you know, that you might want to beware using a shampoo right before your color is especially if you're going to be using permanent color or even bleach on the scalp. Because when you are shampooing, it can cause a little bit of sensitivity, right? You should always get your hair done on clean hair, but wash it the day before if you want to let the natural oils kind of protect your scalp as a barrier for your color. But since we're doing very gentle colors and I'm not really focusing necessarily right on your scalp today, and because I want to make sure that your curly hair, which I know has a lot of product in it, doesn't interfere with how the color takes, we're going to do a clarifying shampoo, really starting fresh. When someone's hair has a lot of buildup, you can actually see it wipe off like this. This shampoo is actually one that we use, especially for doing color removers. Like if I'm doing, and you are literally working the color off of the hair. You have to like massage it out. It's a labor of love, of hate of the old color. It's a lot of work. So now that the hair is clean, it does feel a little bit rough, and that's because the shampoo I just used has a higher pH. So it's almost like lifted her cuticle a little bit, which allowed me to really remove any buildup, and it's gonna help to absorb the color. But the thing about hair that has been lightened is it has a higher porosity, which means if you don't equalize that porosity like a sponge, it's gonna suck up everything. And so that can result to an uneven color, especially if you have more damaged areas of your hair. It's going to take the color differently. So you want to equalize the porosity. You can usually do that with conditioner, but we're skipping conditioner today because I'm going to go in with K18.
This is probably something we should have started with, but what is the best way to evaluate if a hairstylist actually colors well?
You just got to ask questions, and you need to know what are the right questions to ask, which obviously, I mean, no one equips you for that. There's not a class, there's not a course. By actually asking them a lot of questions and also asking to see the work that they've done on especially hair of your texture, especially the way we do highlights on curly hair is very different than they are done on straight hair because the texture just looks so different from when it is curly versus straight. And I know exactly when I'm watching color videos, I know who works with curly hair and who doesn't, because if you're doing a fine weave, a baby light and curly hair, I just know that you know, you either are scared to put in chunky highlights, which, you know, a lot of people are, but that's kind of what you need to do for curly hair in order to actually see the dimension so it doesn't just disappear within the volume and the depth and shape of the curl. And so make sure that you're asking to see their work, ask them if they've worked on curly hair before, ask them what technique they would want to do on you, and also list your concerns and see how they react to that, because they should be able to validate you. Like if your concerns are that you're worried about damaging your curl pattern or things like that, you want to make sure that they know that they can use products in their color, like using Olaplex and using K18 to make sure that, you know, you're not going to ruin the integrity of the hair.
I think also a good indicator is you saw how Mel asked me as many questions as I asked her, probably even more questions. That really shows me that the stylist is really trying to get a really good understanding on what I want exactly.
Great client view. Yeah, like they should be as invested in this appointment as you are. The consultation should be a back and forth conversation between the both of you as a team to figure out the exact look that you want.
Another question was, what's my natural hair color, which we kind of briefly talked on, but
she definitely has a lighter brown shade, and it's not too warm. It's not on the warm side. It's more on the cool tone side. But Amanda overall is kind of a warmer gal. She has some depth to her skin. She's got some warm brown eyes, and we've done darker colors in the past. And like she said, she really felt like it made her features pop as opposed to, you know, focusing just on the hair. And that's what we want. We want the hair to really frame Amanda's face and accentuate all of her natural beauty. And this color is going to feel a little bit more natural on her because she just has darker features. So I've done 30 grams of 7.3 and 15 grams of /03. This has no depth to it, is in no level. It's just gold color. And now the developer. I wish that everyone could buy the Pro Mask because it is that girl. Alrighty, she's already looking a little bit darker, definitely richer, but after this service you will be poorer. I'm kidding. What's amazing about this is that first of all, you're not using as much product as you would any other service, because like a traditional actual hand-painted balayage, there are no foils involved. So this whole process, one, uses less product, and then two, it's a lot faster to do. So to start, we're going to section off Amanda's hair.
While you're doing that, I'm going to ask you a few more questions. The next one is, do you have to straighten your hair before you color it?
No! Who said that? Now, obviously, when the hair is straight, it's going to be less tangly, so it'll be easier to maneuver through. And some stylists might request that you do come to your appointment with your hair straightened, but that goes back to the, do they know your hair type, right? Like sometimes it's beneficial to see your curl, especially, you know, if this stylist has never seen you before. They should see your hair in its natural state. It's not quite the same looking at a photo because they won't be able to see the density. They won't be able to really, be able to appreciate how the curl curls. And that is something you want to keep in mind when you are going in and coloring. That being said, I mean, most of the time that I do your hair, it's like on hair that has already been... Amanda?
What?
I'm just gonna remove it. We're not gonna talk.
Yeah, no way.
It's just wetting stress.
Let me see.
It's short.
Oh, it's so white.
That's just due to wetting stress for sure.
Jesus Christ, can you see that?
Not anymore. It's gone. Never existed. Don't know her. No problem.
Oh my God, it's like really white.
And that's okay.
How is this possible when you just colored my hair?
Well, we didn't use permanent color, so that's something to note. If you want gray coverage, like blend, like you don't want it there at all, you need to go in with permanent color. If you're okay with a little bit of a blending and you are okay with kind of tinting that, not completely getting rid of it, but tinting it so it almost just looks like a highlight color, it's not gray, it's like a blonde, then you can just go in with demi-permanent color. But we didn't really put a demi-permanent color all through your roots. This would have helped to blend it, but we just wanted to remove that anyways. I don't recommend doing that, honestly. I'm definitely pro gray here, okay? But I did it for you. I did it for her.
Okay, since we just found a gray, it's only fitting that we answer a question about gray hairs.
Let's do it.
So let me find one.
I was saying though, I always happen to do your hair, most of the time, it's freshly washed and detangled, so it's like, pretty easy for me to work through. And even right now, we're coloring Amanda's hair while it is damp. That also helps with the porosity issues. It helps prevent the color from taking too dark. It also stops me from using too much color. It does kind of dilute the color a little bit, so it gives more of that sheen effect as opposed to being super opaque, but that's what we want. We want it to just be really glowy and soft, and yeah, so damp hair at least is the way to go. But you have to straighten your hair for your appointment. You got to follow what your stylist says, but if you are questioning their judgment, follow your gut, okay? Amanda, let's get gray. Not you, but the questions. Yes?
So we have one question about grays, and that is, I got my hair colored and got a lot of gray. Why is it, and how to reverse?
You got a lot of gray from your color.
That's what I don't understand.
This is what I'm not understanding. Maybe, unfortunately I need more context, but we're gonna make up context ourselves. We're gonna, fabricate our own story here. You got your hair colored and it's too gray. I'm thinking you got highlights to be blonde.
She got her hair colored and got a lot of gray hair. So I'm assuming that maybe she dyed her hair dark, and then with the regrowth was noticing a lot more gray hair versus if your hair was highlighted, it kind of blends better.
So look at you, man. That is a very good note, because if you have a lot of contrast, if you do a dark root, those grays coming through are definitely going to show. But color does not make your hair go gray. You are just either naturally going gray. Again, gray can be stress-induced as well. Oxidative stress in the body can create graying. But take some vitamins, take some vitamin B, and relax a little bit. You can actually kind of reverse or slow down the graying process a little bit.
How? Because obviously I need to know just in case.
Maddie, you're fine. After the wedding, I don't think you'll be as stressed, hopefully. But we can definitely make a whole video on that. So,
or it could be that she maybe went blonder with her hair, and maybe there was some kind of toning that was done and it made her hair look gray.
Well, that's what I was getting at. If the highlights were too white, and then they took the toner, like you put a purple shampoo or even a purple toner over that, then yeah, it can look really silver. And so you need to add gold back into the hair, kind of like how we did here.
By the way, I'm pulling all these questions that you guys asked me on my Instagram. If you're not following me there, make sure to check me out.
And me too.
And Mel, we ask a lot of questions there, and it ultimately helps us with our YouTube as well. So, yeah.
So the sectioning here is super, super basic. I have one big quadrant, a third, one big section, all right, because they're not even, in the back. So whole back of her head, and then from the very top of her head to behind her ears, we created two sections in the front separated by where she usually parts her hair. These are the sections that we are going to be applying the color in. And the first color we're going to be applying is at her roots. So I'm going to be mixing up a 673. That is a level 6 brown gold. I'm also going to deepen that root slightly further with a 677. This is an intense brown shade, still a level 6, but it's going to add even more depth. And especially since this is going on her root, this is where we want to see the most depth. And I'm going to go through her entire head applying that. And then we're going to get into the rest of the blending and the reverse balayaging. I'm taking like a 1/2 inch of hair from Amanda's hairline, leaving that out because I don't want to drag the root too far. We're still going to blend the root there, but I want to keep it a little bit brighter. So just finishing applying the roots. And Amanda, I think, has more questions.
I have some perfect questions for you while you're doing my hair, specifically while you're adding all this dimension. The first one is, should you use different technique when coloring curly hair to help add dimension to the curls?
Yes. I mean, we add dimension by adding highlights, but there's many different ways to highlight. There's many different types of weaves and techniques that you can do. Like balayage is its own technique, and you can create some really beautiful either blended looks or poppy looks with that. How you can create the differences is by how many highlights you add in the hair and then how you actually highlight the hair. So like I was mentioning before, baby lights are the bane of my existence. Baby lights are just not for curly hair. They just disappear. I mean, if you want it to be like almost like an overall one shade in your hair, then yeah, I mean, you can definitely go in and do baby lights. But when I like to see lots of dimension and ribbons of color, I either like taking slices, so it gives a little bit of a bolder look, or a chunky weave, and stylists know what that means. But
what is the best way to go lighter without causing too much damage to your curls?
if you have never colored your hair before, you do not have to go right in with bleach. I would actually advise against it, especially if you're okay with lightening your hair but not being the lightest hair color. High lift color is how you can lighten light without bleach, and of course it's going to give you a warmer result because you're not using bleach and you won't get that light. So if you're okay with that, that is my favorite way of coloring the hair without it going too light or being too damaging.
So to answer this question, can you use no bleach to color virgin hair, and high lift color would be a way of doing that?
Got it. Have you been watching me for a while? Because we've done videos on Amanda's hair. You know, we do her hair annually at least. And we have used high lift color a ton, especially even to get the highlights that you see here.
So how does high lift color and demi-permanent color work, and why is it better than bleach?
High lift color has a high level of ammonia. Ammonia is what can create lift in the hair. Now, you pair ammonia with the developer, and the developer is like the gas, you know, the developer is what really makes the color work. It gives it the power, but the lifting is what is, I mean, it comes from ammonia. Demi-permanent color doesn't have ammonia. It's usually ammonia free, not all the time, but it's most often ammonia free, and so it doesn't have that lifting power, and that's why it is deposit only. So it's really just in the formulation of the chemicals. Color is you know, it's chemistry here. You're gonna notice I'm slightly combing the color down. That's gonna help to give a good amount of blend at the root. And we're gonna come back in and continue blending that, but we're gonna turn Amanda to the back and show you how we can finish the rest of this head in, let's put a timer on, 25 minutes. It's on the clock, hold me to it. And in that note, spin around. So I'm going to be going through Amanda's hair, and now around the whole hairline is usually lighter. Like if you pull this hair up into a ponytail, you usually want to see some depth and dimension. So I'm going to keep this section a little bit lighter. So I know I said I wouldn't be using any foils for this look, but I am going to place a foil at the top of Amanda's head just so that when I am flipping this hair over, it doesn't get splotchy by touching the color on her roots. So we're just putting it as a protective barrier. I'm further blending that color down just with my fingers. And I'm going to be using my Tangle Teezer brush a lot as well because I find it gives a really good blend to brush through the color. But I'm going to leave these ends and I'm not going to color them dark. I'm just going to put them off to the side. And make sure I wipe my hands in between each section so I'm not, you know, again, creating splotchy color. You gotta keep it neat, you gotta keep it clean. So now I'm gonna take a whole panel, one big horizontal section, and when you wanna create a big impact, especially doing lowlights, you gotta take a big section. And so I am going to color this whole section, and I'm actually still using the same root color that I used on Amanda because I have a little bit left in my bowl. So I'm gonna finish that off. If we think about naturally where the sun hits the head, the bottom of the hair doesn't get any sunlight. So it's okay if this section is even a little bit darker. I'm just gonna drag this root all the way down. And I'm still gonna leave the ends slightly naked. I'm okay if there's a little bit more of an ombre effect and she has some lighter pieces in through her ends, because it's gonna especially blend better with the extensions that she has. But for the most part, this section has got color through it.
Cassandra wants to know what I specifically ask Mel for when I do highlights, and she's asking if I do both low lights and highlights to get such dimension.
So the past couple times has only been highlights, and lo and behold, here we are adding low lights. It's gonna be different every appointment. You just have to look at the amount of depth that's in the hair. But depth, like, don't be shy of adding low lights, especially if you feel like you're not bright enough. You know, you would think, oh, I need more highlights, I need more highlights. Sometimes you reach a point where you just can't add any more highlights. And you actually need to add some depth back, because those shadows are gonna make your blonde pop even more. So if you feel like you're in this cycle of adding so many highlights and you're still not even bright enough, then you definitely wanna add some low lights into your color. I'm gonna take some big weaves of sections, and I'm gonna set those off to the side and then color the rest. So all my colored bits I'm gonna be keeping in the middle and putting the highlights off to the sides.
And can you put dark brown on blonde curly ends without ruining your ends completely?
Why would you do that? I'm not sure. Can you put dark brown on blonde curly ends without ruining your ends completely? The only way you would ruin your ends is if you don't fill the color that needs to be filled. So otherwise, I mean, going darker is not going to create damage on your hair, again, depending on the formula, the type of color that you use. If you're worried about ruining it, yeah, I mean, like, I need a little more context. What does ruining it mean? To me, ruined blonde ends would only happen by putting brown on top if you don't add the necessary warmth. So make sure you are filling in your color with some golds, some coppers, oranges if needed, to get the richness. So you can see I took these 4 big weaves. These are the highlights, so I'm going to leave them out, putting them off to the side, and then these are gonna be my low lights.
Can you recommend a good low maintenance balayage color someone can do?
Well, it's going to depend on what your natural color is. So I always like to stay within the 3-level range. If you're a natural level 6, don't go lighter than a level 9, right? Level 9 is a light blonde. Even that, you'll definitely see big contrast. The less contrast there is, that means you're not doing as much, as much to your hair to achieve that color, right? It's closer to your natural. It's probably going to be healthier for your hair, which means it'll hold on to the color better and you won't have to tone it as much. So that's one way, right? Keeping the color closer to your natural, but also making sure that there is a lot of those natural low lights all throughout your hair. By not adding too much, you won't notice that harsh contrast between your root and the colored ends. So keeping it really dimensional, and just a couple pops of color. You don't need a ton. Like even in Amanda's hair right now, I'm not adding a ton of this blonde, just some pops. And so you'll really see them because there's not too many. See, these are really big sections. I want to make sure the root is really blended. Brush down a little bit, and I'll even just smooth with my fingers. I'm going to set that aside. I feel like these are some pretty fire questions.
Someone's asking me if the last time you colored my hair were those Pintura highlights, and is what you're doing right now Pintura highlights?
Pintura highlights is like balayage but on curly hair. The only difference is you're kind of focusing more curl by curl as opposed to like taking bigger panels like you do with balayage. Balayage is actually a French term. It's a technique, and it's actually translated by sweeping. Like you're sweeping color onto panels of the hair. Pintura just gets a little bit more technical. It's the same kind of technique. You're just painting the hair differently because you're catering to the curls. So it's more of a curl by curl kind of vibe. And no, I did not do that last time. Last time on Amanda's hair, we did foils. Because we were doing high lift, we need to make sure that we are getting the lift, and you can accelerate the type of lift that you get by putting it in foils because it kind of incubates the heat. And so we did more of a traditional highlight last time, not a Pintura highlight, but we have done that in the past, and we have videos on that as well on Amanda's hair, so you can see what that looked like. If you notice, the size of the weave that I'm taking is kind of like the size of Amanda's curl. So that's really going to make sure that this is going to be like one complete curl that is blonde and really create that contrast, those pops that Amanda wants to see. Now this is all my highlighted section. We're going to be coming right back to that. I'm just going to finish low lighting Amanda's sides. As you can see, the back is done and we're really almost there.
Can someone DIY this?
I think it's more of like a DIY plus call a friend type of vibe. Because it's going to be hard to get the back of your head. But, I mean, anything is possible. I do my own color. And this is actually my first time seeing my color straightened. So I was a little nervous to see that. I mean, I always do my own color, but this was highlights. And, you know, highlights are tricky. I have a mental breakdown in the middle of doing them every single time. It's fine. It all worked out. I think my color came out really good. And my color is actually high lift as well. For anyone wondering, like, in terms of how light you can get it. And my natural color is darker than Amanda's, but my hair texture is finer. So like there's all these little things. That's why when it comes to DIY color, I honestly think it's way harder than a haircut because there's chemicals involved and like it can get a lot more serious in terms of, you know, if the results don't come out right, you know, your hair becomes more damaged. The haircut, you can always cut off a little bit more or really start slow, but with color, I don't know, man. I don't know. If you're brave, DIY plus call a friend. That way you're both in it together.
If someone were to DIY, is there a specific hair color brand that you recommend? I know what you're using right now is...
This is professional color. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, can I say this quickly? At the beginning of the year, I made a vow I owed that I would only use cruelty-free products on this channel because it's just something I wanted to do, you know? I don't believe that hair products have to be used on animals. You know, I don't condone that. And I've moved everything except for color. You see color, because I'm using Wella, and to my knowledge, they're not officially cruelty-free. And unfortunately, when you are so used to a color brand, like it's really hard to switch color brands. I'm just not in the headspace to do that right now. So I still use Wella, just so you know. I still try to only use cruelty-free products, especially if I'm showing them on this channel. Just so you know, going forward, this is a cruelty-free channel. But color is color. There's not many cruelty-free color brands, so I'm on the lookout, and eventually one year I will change. But for now, I am still using what I know is tried and true. Back to the question we were talking about. For a color that is accessible to all, I have used the Ion Demi-Permanent color, and that's the Sally Beauty brand. And I quite liked it. Like, I thought that I got pretty good results. You know, I think their color range is okay. In terms of color, as long as you're following the directions, you know, the mixing directions and application, it's not about the color, it's about how you use it. I just wouldn't go for the ones that come pre-mixed in the box because they are not taking into consideration your hair color. I would much rather you walked into a Sally Beauty, for example, and then you took a look at the colors that were available and you bought the developer that is necessary for the hair color that you're going for. Because, for example, Demi-Permanent color uses a whole different developer, or it's the lowest, a 10 volume. And you know, you'll see a lot of people doing DIY hair colors on their own head and they're using a 40 volume with bleach. Like, that's just a recipe to make your hair fall out. And a lot of the times, the pre-box hair colors, they have 20 volume developer, which might be too harsh for your hair. That's why it's nice getting your hair done. You know, they can customize it for you when it comes to color, or you can get a little bit more custom by going into like a Sally Beauty as opposed to using a box. But sometimes boxes work for people. I'm not against box color. It's all on how you use it.
Another question is, my hair is shedding so much after getting highlights. Is this because of coloring?
Yeah, I mean, shedding could be due to breakage for sure. I'm sure you're not losing, I hope you're not losing that hair from the top of your head. And so that definitely kind of sounds like an issue with breakage, and that can be resolved with strengthening treatments. Make sure you're using protein in your hair care routine. I definitely recommend K18 and or Olaplex to make sure your hair is the healthiest. I've got all my colored sections. This is the blonde section. I've got her face frame, and we're gonna go do this on the other side. I'm also, when I'm in the front, taking the sections on an angle, a little diagonal, higher in the front, lower in the back, because that's the way the hair kind of naturally flows, and that means the highlights are going to be a little higher up towards the front and lower in the back to give that lived-in teardrop balayage effect.
Another question we got is if my hair feels super dry after coloring it, and it never ever does. I actually love how my hair feels after I get my hair colored, and looks and smells. You can still smell a little bit of the chemicals. I don't know why. I love the smell of toner. I know it's not a good thing or healthy.
I mean, it is what it is. But that was all going to come down to how the hair was treated, both, you know, with the color and even post-treatments.
Which we'll take you guys through, and there's a lot of questions about aftercare that we can go through after. But since we're here in the now, there was a question that I did miss that I wish we would have answered earlier, but someone was asking, what are treatments or routines that you should be using prior to getting a really big color change?
Definitely already starting the strengthening treatments, already acting like your hair is damaged. That way it is in its best condition to be able to take the color. So whether that's doing Olaplex treatments at home, either the number 3 or personally, I would do the number 3, or even just using their hair care, or the K18 molecular hair repair mask, because both of those products can be used on anyone's hair. Not that everyone needs it, right? You don't need those products if your hair is not damaged, but if you know you're about to damage your hair, I definitely recommend doing that for a couple weeks leading up to your appointment for the best, healthiest of results. Last time we did Amanda's color, we tried the Scandinavian hairline on her. So she was blonde right to the root. And it was warm. I mean, it was definitely on the warmer side. Amanda, how did you feel about it?
It was orange.
It felt orange on her. You know, we experimented. We love experimenting around here. Amanda is my guinea pig. It's something that she gets for getting free hair. What can you do?
Is it free?
And I'm doing this part last just because I don't want it to take too dark around her face frame.
Would you ever dye my eyebrows?
What color would you dye your eyebrows?
I don't know.
Why would you dye your eyebrows?
If you were to dye my eyebrows, what color would you dye my eyebrows?
No. Why?
I'm just asking.
No. End of story. Forget about it.
You dyed your eyebrows before?
I dyed my eyebrows when I did a reddish color so that it would blend, because my eyebrows are naturally a light brown and it would look stupid if I didn't have them colored. Eyebrows definitely like grow out fast and they don't hold on to color for a long time, so both high and low commitment to do them. Like I did them and I never did them again after that color, you know, it was just a phase. So after that was done, I was over it. And I don't think they lasted very long on me either, but I just took some of the demi-permanent color that I was putting on my head and put it on my eyebrows. They say not to do that. Like they say not to put this color on your eyebrows, I think because it's, you know, right on your face.
On your skin.
On your skin, but I took my chances. Do as I say, not as I do. Follow instructions, period. Are you wanting to add some of this rich brown to your eyebrows?
No, I'm just
It's going to ruin your makeup. I wouldn't do that. I'm going to mist down Amanda's sections, blonde bits, because they're now dry and I don't want them to, I want them to take the color evenly. And now because we have organized everything so nicely, I'm literally just going to take this whole section, mist it down, and I'm going to slap the color on this whole section.
Really?
Super fast. Yeah.
What color is this?
So this is kind of a midway between your roots and ends. And I'm not bringing this through the ends because I want those to stay a little bit lighter, just to blend the roots to the ends.
Not even a question, but a concern I noticed a lot of was just concerns about coloring curly hair in general. A lot of people are scared to do it and don't really want to do it because maybe they've worked so hard to get their hair in a healthy state. For me, I'm someone who did have severe hair damage from color and from heat styling. And to be honest, I never feared coloring my hair nor heat styling it, even during my entire healthy hair journey, because I always knew that just like your diet, everything has to be done in phases. So you have to phase in how much heat you're using to your hair, how much color you're using onto your hair, and how often, and supplementing those things with very healthy routines like using Olaplex, using K18, making sure that I am wearing my bonnet and sleeping on a silk pillowcase to protect my hair overnight, using hair oils and UV protection and heat protection. All these little things really add up to the overall health of my hair so that I can go once, twice, 3 times a year with either coloring it or heat styling it straight.
That's a very good point. Everything in moderation, right?
Yeah.
And there's always alternatives. Like there's, ways that you can straighten your hair or do, styles on your hair without even using heat. Like there are phenomenal heatless curl options out there nowadays.
Exactly like a diet, there's healthy ways to have chocolate, and then there's very unhealthy ways to have chocolate. Meaning, like, I could have dark chocolate melted on a very healthy and delicious strawberry versus I could have a very heavy milk chocolate bar with caramel and marshmallows and all of these things. You know what I mean? So it's like really making sure that you're doing things in the most healthy way, and again, supplementing in between those treatments with the healthy hair care routine that you should be keeping up with no matter what you do to your hair.
Facts. Absolutely. Couldn't have said that better myself. Eating 1 square of chocolate as opposed to the whole bar.
Yeah. Like, don't go blonde all in one session. If you're going from dark to blonde, don't go blonde all in one session. There's actually another question that we did receive. Someone was wondering how long they should wait in between their color service to go back and do like a retouch. Mm-hmm. She was asking if a month is long enough, but what do you think?
I mean, that's another scenario where it's going to be case by case, like how healthy was your hair to begin with? Is it really damaged? Like, it's going to take a long time if your hair is damaged for you to be able to go back for another lightening session or, another hair color touch-up. Depends on the hair color you're doing. Mm-hmm. That's a question I would ask your own professional that is doing your hair color. But you definitely need your hair some time to breathe. The bare minimum, a couple weeks.
I guess while Mel's finishing up here, I'll just give you some updates. So the day that we are filming this video is Tuesday, October 17th. My wedding is November 4th.
Whew! That's right.
We are just over 2 weeks away.
Coming up.
And this was one of the last things we needed to do in order to prepare for the wedding. And that was
you
my
get to check it off your list today, Amanda.
Yeah, I'm really happy that we're getting this done today. Now, typically, Mel, do you think this is the ideal time to color your hair before? Like, let's say it's a big event, like someone's getting married. Like, is this an ideal time? Did we do it too early? Did we do it too late? What do you think?
No, I wouldn't say we did it too early, but you definitely don't want to do it too late. Now, it depends, right? Like, if you are doing the same color you always do, like touching it up, if it's highlights, I think you need to give yourself at least a week. Do it the week before, because God forbid something happens, it goes awry, you have some time
to fix it,
right? Give yourself a week. Now, if you're just maybe touching up some grays, you could do that 2-3 days before, because sometimes you can already see a little bit of growth coming out. So, leave that till the very end. Just make sure you give yourself some time to adjust. Alrighty, it's time for us to go rinse Amanda, and I just mean rinse and shampoo. We're gonna cleanse and condition, and then we'll be back
to answer more of your questions about aftercare when coloring your curly hair.
Amanda knows the questions, and I got the answers. BRB. Alright, my friends, it is time for the reveal. In 3, 2, sweat. I like to be a natural beauty. Look at she. For her wedding deed, she's a breed.
It's definitely chocolate. It's giving chocolate.
I know, I'm so hungry right now.
I know. It looks amazing. This is exactly what I wanted.
We gave ourselves time for it to kind of fade out. We could always do any adjustments, but it's definitely giving her chocolate color. And let's do the extension match, shall we?
That's the moment of truth. Looks like a perfect match to me. Oh my God, that's literally my hair color.
You wanna pop them in now?
Yeah, okay, let's just
we just gotta pop them in now. We just gotta do it.
So these are Halo extensions by Bibonia. We'll leave a link because a lot of you guys have been asking us about these extensions. We'll leave a link in the caption.
But I'll just show you really quickly how easy these are to put in Amanda's hair.
Yeah.
And since we're applying extensions to Amanda's hair, I might as well answer a question about extensions and color. Extensions can be colored if they are human hair. These are human hair extensions, so they can be colored, but you never want to lighten extensions. You're just going to bleach and damage your hair, which you definitely don't want to do because extensions definitely are not cheap. So in the case that you want to get extensions, you always have to look at the color on your ends. If the color on your ends is lighter, then you don't want to go for a darker extension. You have to go for a lighter extension because that's the best way that you're going to get blend. And then if you get lighter and you have to darken it, you always can. Just remember to always go for the lighter color and make sure that you're taking the color at your ends into consideration and not your roots, because it's okay for there to be a little bit of an ombre. That's what naturally happens in the sun. Okay, son? Now I have clipped up Amanda's hair like a little halo. She's got a little horseshoe section to about the mid back of her head. So what's really easy about this is it's just one big weft with all these little clips that will attach to the back of her head, and then there's a string here that's invisible, and this will rest on the top of Amanda's head, kind of like a headband. I think we need to switch the size of the clear elastic that's here. It came with different sizes because you have a fat head and this doesn't quite fit, but
Considering this is a lot of hair, it doesn't feel that heavy. It's actually very comfortable. Very, very comfortable. And the hair itself is so soft. Like, I can't tell the difference between my own hair and the extensions.
Well, I had to restyle them. When they came in the bag, they're looking a little slept on, a little, So I retwisted the ends of the curl, and I did it with like a finger roll technique so that it would actually match Amanda's hair texture, especially since we'll probably finger roll her curls for the wedding.
I love it. Oh my God, this looks so good.
It's a lot of hair, but you want that, right? The blend is absolutely seamless.
That's it. That's my wedding hair, guys. This is my wedding hair. I feel like a fall bride. That's what I feel like. I feel like a fall bride. I think we're gonna answer 3 more questions to end off the video because considering my eye color, a lot of you guys want to know, how do you know what color will work best with your skin tone and your eye color? And we do have an entire full video about that. But I will say the reason why I did want to go darker with my hair for the wedding is because I feel like my features pop more, specifically my eye color. My eyes look so much lighter.
If we look at our looks, I have a more monochromatic look where my hair color, my eyebrows, my eye color, even kind of my skin color, they're all around the same tone. So I don't have as much contrast as Amanda. Amanda's a more contrast beauty. Yeah. So when her hair contrasts her skin, and as you can see, again, she has darker eyebrows, darker eyes, it complements her features really, really well. Not that she can't be blonde or pull it off, because you look great as a blonde too. This just works.
It works.
And I strongly believe that the color that is closest to your natural, it just always looks the best on a person. It just does.
So if you want to achieve this exact hair color or my previous hair color, what should you be asking your stylist?
Well, since Amanda's never been that blonde, you want to make sure that they're ideally not using bleach, which again, you only use high lift color if your hair is natural, virgin. If you have previously colored hair, then you'll have to talk to your stylist about your options. But we don't use bleach in Amanda's hair. We use high lift color to do her highlights. We've balayaged, and in this case especially, this was our reverse balayage technique to give dimension.
I mean, the best thing you can do, because a lot of people explain things differently, they have different stylists have different lingos, just show them a picture. That's the best thing that you can do to explain exactly what you want without miscommunicating to your stylist what exactly you want. And the last question is there noticeable damage after coloring?
Your hair is naturally going to feel drier. And that's not at the faulty of your stylist. It doesn't mean that the color was damaging. I mean, at the end of the day, you just put your hair through a chemical process. It has changed. So it's natural for it to feel drier. Your porosity is higher. And that means we just need to use more products that are going to help to seal that in. Using more moisturizing products, using hair oils and serums. Products with silicones are fantastic to help keep the moisture in your hair.
Lots of strengthening treatments. Use them. If you're washing your hair once a week, use it once a week.
And just remember that anytime you're lightening your hair, what's being damaged is your hair's protein. So by adding protein in your routine, you're replenishing what has been missing, and that's going to give the strength back to your hair. And you really won't notice a huge difference. So if you do notice a bit of a difference right after doing your color, keep up with your treatments and you'll notice it will get better.
It will get better.
It will get better.
And that's it for today's
all
video.
for us.
That's all the questions. The camera's gonna die.
I'm gonna die. My back is broke, so I need to go. But thank you so much for trusting me. I don't know who else you would trust. Feel good?
I love it. Thank you. That's great.
This is the wedding hair.
This
I
is the
think
wedding hair.
when I wash this blowout, I think I'm gonna do my trial because they
Yeah.
were asking about that look.
We should definitely let us know if you want Mel to film her trial.
AKA, you know we're gonna do it, but please still let us know if
Yes.
you want us to. Okay, we love seeing your comments. So comment if you have any other further questions as well. Make sure to subscribe. We'll be sure to put more details and helpful links in the description box below. And we're gonna go. Peace. I'm melting. How's my mustache? How's my mustache? Because I'm melting.
You have more of a goatee going on.
It's a goatee, yeah. It's going all the way around. A goatee, Amanda? My hair is sticking to my freaking forehead. This is why I can't have straight hair. Is it reverting? Is it reverting? No, it's holding up pretty good. Considering I did not use an iron at all. It was just a blowout. Video next week.
Which, by the way, if you made it this far in this video and you like how Mel's hair looks, just give us a thumbs up. Give us a thumbs up.
Thank you.